Rosie Perez, welcome to Noir Alley.
It's a long time coming. Thank you for
I
having
appreciate
me.
it. We are at the L'Alliance, New York's Florence Gould Theater on 59th Street in Midtown Manhattan, because I have flown all the way across the United States to be with you because I know you are a huge film noir fan.
I am. I love to live in the darkness, as do you. We had been talking earlier the other day about how I feel that film noir is one of the most extraordinary, probably the top American film genres ever. Ever. I mean, from the cinematography to the acting to the direction, the screenwriting. Best genre to deliver one-liners that will crack you over the head. I just love it.
Yes. We're going to start this off with The Strange Love of Martha Ivers, featuring the greatest actress in the history of motion pictures. I'm looking for agreement from you.
Ruby Stevens
Yes.
of Brooklyn, a.k.a. Barbara Stanwyck, my favorite, yes.
I'm guessing that she is your favorite because you feel you have a lot in common with her. Brooklyn girls from the School of Hard Knocks,
Yes.
dancer, the whole
Yes.
thing. Was she a favorite of yours before you knew her life story, or was it her life story that made you a favorite?
No, prior to knowing her backstory. And then when I discovered her backstory, I said, this makes complete sense. You know, and the one thing that I always loved about Barbara Stanwyck is that regardless of whatever role she was in, whether she was playing the Queen of Noir or she was in a, screwball comedy or what have you, she always kept this authentic delivery in her performance. You know what I mean? And she always carried herself with such stature, from baby face all the way up to Big Valley.
Which is where I saw her first.
Oh.
Was on the Big Valley when I was a kid.
I just feel like she probably was given Big Valley because of what I was saying earlier. She just had this self-respect that was undeniable, and it came through all of her performances, all of her interviews, and it just carried through, and she just refused to be denied.
Yeah, absolutely. And completely untrained. I mean, just a natural actress. Dancer turned actress. Yeah. She never had an acting lesson in her life.
Also, we do have something in common.
This is what I was saying. Yeah, it's like, I totally get it. It's like, when you told me that like your favorite actress was Barbara Stanwyck, I said, oh, that's great. And then I thought about it later, and I was like, well, of course. Who else could it be? You guys are like two peas in a pod.
Oh, wow.
You know, I mean, I don't know if I could see her as a fly girl, but
well, those are shoes that are very big to fill. I wouldn't say that, but I'll take the compliment halfway.
Okay, now, Strange Love of Martha Ivers also features the debut of a couple of important figures. Kirk Douglas makes his movie debut in this film, and Elizabeth Scott, who was the protege, as they say, of the producer of the film, Hal Wallace, who was determined to make her a star in this picture.
And they used to call her the Threat.
The Threat.
Yeah, because she came on the scene and people were saying, uh-oh.
I think that was aimed specifically at Lauren Bacall.
Really scandalous.
Yeah, well, because her romance with Bogart and everything was such a big deal. And I think Hal Wallace, who produced a lot of film noir movies, wanted an actress like Bacall for his own productions and things. And your mileage may vary on how close you think Liz Scott gets to the Bacall mystique.
Yeah. Well, I would say that Lauren Bacall had more mystique than Liz Scott. And I think Liz Scott had much more of a deeper vulnerability that she displayed, especially in this film. And Van.
We're going to talk a lot more about Van Heflin after the movie.
Okay.
Because I'm sure there are people that haven't seen this. Noir Alley gets the hardcore fans, but I'm sure there are people who have not seen this before. And it is terrific. Written by Robert Rossen, directed by Louis Milestone. Here is The Strange Love of Martha Ivers. Okay, so the end of this movie is absolutely incredible to me. The Hollywood production code sort of had a prohibition against suicide to end a film, like you can't have characters kill themselves. What is this ending if not like a suicide pact?
Yeah, I'll say,
right?
yeah. I thought that the film could have ended with the double suicide, right? Van walking out, and you see the mansion in the background. He's walking into the darkness, right? The light is in behind him, fade to black. I think that that would have been great. It would have been great. And then the other side of me goes, but what happens to Liz Scott? You know, is she still in the hotel? Is she at the bus stop alone crying? You know, so it's just, so it works both for me. It works both for me.
But here's an interesting thing I learned about how they staged that finale, where she like draws the gun in. Louis Milestone had heard a story about the gangster Oni Madden, who was a big New York gangster in the 1920s. And apparently he was accosted by a guy with a gun. And instead of ducking or running, he walked right up to the guy and drew the gun to him to make sure that he would be shot in a non-vital area.
Oh my God.
So he like took the bullet in the shoulder instead of in the chest, right? And interestingly, Barbara Stanwyck knew Oni Madden.
Of course she did. I love that. Oh my goodness, of course she did. They were actual friends? Or
Yeah,
they just knew each other?
When she was dancing, you know, when she was hoofing in the deuce, you know, Oni Madden was hanging out and they were pals, right? And so she said, that's great, you know, and she sells that ending like $1 million.
Oh my God, just that slight look when she looks up into Kirk Douglas's eyes, you're like, no, 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 oh my gosh! You know, it's just brilliant. To be quite honest, Eddie, my heart like broke for her.
Yeah.
For both of them, but more for her because she was set up from the get-go. You know, in the beginning of the movie, it's brilliant, you know, when they are kids and everything like that. And that brutal, brutal beating of the cat, you know, you don't see it, you just hear it, and you want to turn away. Pure film noir.
I think we
know?
may have lost a few viewers tonight when because the people that watch Noir Alley don't care who gets killed.
Right.
It's don't hurt the animal.
Don't hurt the animals. Yeah. Well, when I was laying in bed with my husband the first time we watched it, he went, "Don't look." You know, he put his hand up in front of my eyes, and the story is brilliant because it doesn't make an excuse, but it explains why people are so damaged. You know, you may see them on the surface to be very, very polished and very successful, but underneath there is a turmoil that is just brewing and just seeping out of their pores. And, you know, for all the children involved. And then the runaway is the one that comes out on top. You know, Van's character.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I love this film.
What do you think about Van Heflin as an actor? I think he's one of the most underrated actors in the history of Hollywood.
I do too. Do you know that I saw him on What's My Line? Yes, he was there, and he was talking about that he was doing a play in New York at the time. And I didn't even know that he was a theater actor as well, and it makes so much sense because it's very difficult to go on stage. It's very, very difficult for a lot of, you know, film actors to make that transition.
Sure. And it's interesting because Van Heflin was the complete opposite of Barbara Stanwyck. They have great chemistry together, and it's wonderful to watch them act, but he was a very trained actor. I mean, he seemed so natural on screen, but he had a whole, it's called the Del Sarte School of Acting, and it's almost mathematical in the way you approach things. You have like numbers assigned to gestures, and you like make notations on the script, and he does the exact same thing every time, every take. Where Stanwyck was feeling it, just all natural, no system or anything, you know? Pretty remarkable.
My other favorite scene between the two is when they go out and there's like the little campfire, right?
I knew you were gonna say that.
Oh my God,
yeah.
I love it. And she picks up the thing, you know, and he goes, Martha. And then of course, back then, I don't know if it would fly today, you know, he grabs her and then they start making out. Yeah. She tries to kill you. And of course, the response is, let me just start making out with you.
Let's make out, yeah. Well, it is like, it's a film noir.
Yes,
I mean, that's how these things go in film noir. Right?
Yeah.
Rosie, this is so great having you here that I think we should do this again.
Oh, definitely.
In fact, I think we need to do it again next week.
I'm with you.
Okay, great. So tune in next week for another installment of Noir Alley. Rosie will be here with me. We'll be showing one of her favorite noir films. And until then,
see you in the shadows.
Next on TCM, Born to Kill, then Dillinger, and later, Some of the Best. Enjoy the ride with TCM tonight.